Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the one new year. I'm so excited today to have my dear friends Rachel Vaughan and Max Lowen with me today for our predictions live. We are here to do our predictions for January through March and possibly into the 2026 new year. So, welcome Rachel, welcome Max. If you guys are not familiar with them, I want you guys to check out their social media. So you can find Max at unbroken.global. She's on unbroken.global, it's unbroken.global on Instagram, Facebook, Telegram, YouTube, you're on Rumble. Trying to think where else you're at.
Substack, and my website.
Yeah.
And BitChute, yeah.
BitChute. And then Rachel is at sixscience.com. She's also on, I can't remember all your tag names for Facebook and Instagram because you're SRA whistleblower on Instagram, and then
well done.
Yeah, Rachel. I think you're just Rachel Vaughan on Facebook.
Rachel Vaughan on most of the other ones. BitChute, BitChute, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Twitter, Insta, LinkedIn.
They're everywhere. So
yeah.
So we're going to get started with. We're each going to give our predictions for 2026, and Rachel and I have been doing our prediction series since January of 2025. So we like to kind of go back and try and remember what we've said, if things have come to pass, or if not, maybe they're going to keep going into 2026. So Rachel, you want to get started?
Absolutely. Okay, I need the glasses for this one. Right. So in January, we started off with our prediction series, and I gave a lot for January because I basically wanted to fit in what was going to come up for the whole year. I did say, I qualified at the beginning, that I don't care if I get the month wrong. I've given a month for when I thought the predictions would come in, but if I got it wrong, I made it very clear that I didn't care if that was going to be the problem. And I've noticed that I'm usually like maybe 2 months ahead.
Yeah.
So I thought that things would happen, and they happened about 2 months later or 3 months later. So it's reasonably close. So in January, I predicted that in January there'd be a backlash against smart devices, which did happen in 2025 with the Tesla vehicles being attacked and everything. That was pretty amusing. I saw Newsom, Gavin Newsom, under fire. And that did happen throughout the year. I predicted that Ali Carter would be a big factor, and she was. Huge migration of individuals going back to their own countries that has happened. It's been about self-deportations in the US have been huge, and we also saw this image of Palestinians walking back to Israel. And I had the vision of the tanks next to them, like sort of ushering them in, but that actually happened. There was an article in the Advertiser, which is a local paper, which had exactly that image, these people walking back to their homeland with a picture next to it of tanks. So it was right. It was part of the same article, but exactly the vision that I was given. That didn't happen till October. I predicted it for February, but the self-deportations have been up to like 1.6 million or something from the US. In March, I predicted that child trafficking, Australia and New Zealand would be exposed, and it's interesting because that's when the Beaumont case blew up for my my father, and I was finally named in the local paper as well. And that shark cases would be crazy, and that did happen. All throughout 2025, it's just been shark cases. And I've interviewed with a couple of people called from Tartaria, Australia, called Kelly and Campbell, and they're talking a lot about what's in the ocean. It's like they don't want us near the ocean, which is really interesting. I got it right that in April there'd be food security issues. The Australian farmers were told to kill their their breeding stock during the drought, which was insane. I predicted that the zombie apocalypse thing would blow up in April. It didn't actually blow up until August. There was this TikTok viral video from China, apparently, that there was some sort of zombie apocalypse going on, and that happened in August. I did predict that the Israel war would be over in April. There were 2 ceasefires, but obviously it's not over yet. So we've had a couple of ceasefires though, and I did see Keir Starmer out of office. They're still trying to get rid of him. So they've been trying to get rid of him really seriously. So I think he'll be out in 2026. I also predicted in March that the Pope would be announced dead in April, and he was. And interestingly, you guys did the editing on the video, and it was at the 21-minute mark, and he died on the, well, was announced dead on the 21st of April. I think he's been dead a long time, but yeah, they did the announcement. I predicted in January that in May, Hendra cases in horses would go crazy, but that was later, where they actually started jabbing a lot of horses with the Hendra vaccine, and a lot of horses died. So I think that was in August. I'll go through my notes. Just horrific. I also predicted inflation would drop in most Western countries, and that was true of USA, Canada, France, Italy, Switzerland, and the UK, and partly in Australia. In June, I predicted that the truth would be coming out thick and fast about the jabs, and that's actually been the case. And now the Hep B shots are no longer being offered or recommended for children, which is fantastic. And I actually think that's what's going to lead to most likely Sanofi, but one of the really high level drug manufacturers is going to go down. I predicted it would happen in 2025. It's very, very close. So they were, you just can't make this stuff up, but they're actually predicting, where have I got it in my notes? There is like a marketing company called Mordor Intelligence. Mordor, as in Lord of the Rings, as in the terrifying demonic Mordor, right? They were predicting that the Hep B market was going to grow by 6.3% by 2030. It's obviously now going to completely fall. It's going to collapse. So I would say of the several pharma companies that are really big, which with the Hep B market, which is Sanofi, GSK, Merck, and this Indian Immunologicals, I think it's most likely going to be Sanofi for various reasons. So they've also had their multiple sclerosis shot's been pushed back by the FDA. So I think Sanofi will probably be the one that goes down. I just wish it had happened already. I predicted that the Epstein Island stuff would come out, and there's been a huge amount released, and that Bill Gates would be exposed. So in October, he was saying that climate change was no longer an issue. So I predicted that for July, but it happened in October, which is fantastic. So, nobody really listens to that guy anymore. I expected at least one of the heart facilities to go down. But what I didn't realize was actually it transferred from the US Air Force to Alaska, which is interesting. So I got that there was obviously a big shift, but not what I wanted, which was it being destroyed. I predicted that in September, Albert Pike's three wars rhetoric, and apparently it wasn't necessarily Pike who said this, but the three wars rhetoric is very, very significant to these times. Obviously, somebody said it. That he would be trying to foment a war between the Islamists and the Israelis. That all sort of kind of come out in December. So people are very aware of that now because of the Bondi shooting, which is obviously, well, I won't say on here. I did predict that there would be an attempt to shut down media with some sort of disinformation, misinformation stuff. That kind of happened in Australia in December with these under 16 social media ban. I also said it probably last a couple of days and then it would be done. And that's pretty much what happened. Some kids are still stuck out and they're locked out of their social media, but 2 days after they did the big ban here, they were already saying in the mainstream media that it was absolutely useless. It didn't really do anything. Kids worked their way around it. Yeah, it was just crazy. So again, the Palestinians going back, the mass migration, that did happen in October. Scrutiny of childcare centres, I was predicting that for November. It's gone crazy. It's gone crazy, particularly in my country in Australia. The childcare centres are just being, there's just so many pedophiles and predators in there. They're just being exposed everywhere. I also predicted that a lot of universities would close across Western countries. There's been 76 closed in the US. The Australian unis are all under financial stress, also in UK, Canada, New Zealand. There's lots of cuts and mergers going on. And in December, I predicted that we would have like this massive backlash against the judiciary and the politicians, and we're definitely seeing that. We've seen Keir Starmer being attacked, Albanese, the Prime Minister of Australia is under major fire, Trump obviously with the Epstein stuff, Zelensky. So we're seeing a lot of that. And we're also seeing a lot of articles about people in the judiciary or judges they're very scared at the moment. They're asking for more protection, they're having to go into hiding. So that's just going to get worse and worse. So that's the main sort of more interesting things that I got right from the prediction series last year. And yours, Darwin?
Oh, I didn't keep as good a notes as you. I remember from last year, I just remember, we had let's see, I remember saying about April, May being, so chaotic, and there was going to be that was the start of the giant mass exodus, and then it would calm down. I remember talking about, and we don't give financial advice, but I remember saying that silver was going to go up, and it did. It has went up significantly, and it keeps going
Hugely.
up. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
remember saying that Bitcoin was going to go down, and Bitcoin has dropped down quite significantly, and that's going to continue. Again, not giving financial advice, but yeah. So what else? The big thing I said was there was going to be no hurricanes for Florida or US, and there wasn't. And I was working really hard on that too. Whenever anything would try and form or whatever, I was building the wall, like a, energetic wall, and keeping them at sea. So yeah, we didn't have any hurricanes. What else? I'm trying to think what else then I remember saying in September that I saw for the whole year that was when the big thing was gonna, I kept seeing all the bricks coming down, and with Diddy and with Hollywood and everything, but then another giant mass exodus, the biggest one we've seen ever, which it has been that way. I mean, lots and lots of death, and it's continuing. It's wrapping around into this year because more and more souls are going home, and so. And there's more and more coming out, excuse me, about Hollywood and politicians and all of that. And that's going to continue. So I'm trying to think what else, because I know I sent you some things, and there was something that I had said about, remember I don't remember when it was last year, if it was the first live we did or the second one, but I kept getting the thing about big pharma and more and more coming out, like you did with the vaccines and all of that, and just medicine in general. Medicine, it's not, but just more and more truth coming out about that, and big pharma falling. And that seems to be, more and more people are waking up to all of that, and they're leaving Western medicine. And eventually what I have was shown was that that's going to fall, and that those big companies they're going to crash, they're going to fall. But I think that has something to do with some of my predictions that's coming up with the split. And people will go one way or another way, and so those companies won't be. I've got drawings and everything, so Max knows my drawings are pretty lame, but but there is just I'll have to explain it when I get into my predictions for what's coming. But I'm trying to think of what else we were talking about, because I was kind of surprised that more didn't come out about with the horses and just pets in general, because I was seeing this, and maybe it's still coming, but I do have something about that in my predictions. But it seems like there's going to be this really a mushroom cloud almost with the whole veterinarian pet industry. So because there's more and more pets that they're getting sick. They're having all kinds of things wrong with them. And it has to do not just with the vaccines and stuff for the pets, it's their food. So going back to feeding pets off the table, and, but making sure it's good food and not, crappy stuff. So yeah.
I was reading in my friend Marcy Fallick's book that they would actually take euthanized animals and then put them through the pet food industry. So you've got poisons that kill animals, and then they're recycling those animals into your pet's food.
Yes.
It's just they do it with our food too. They recycle humans, and I mean, they have a lot of dead bodies. People kill a lot of people, so they do it with us too.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was a prediction, Max, that I have for 2026, that the soft ice cream, the Mr. Whippy ice cream industry is going to be exposed, because a lot of that's human fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, foul, really foul.
Yes. And now you all know why I'm so meticulous with what I put in and on my body. And I research everything, and I've done it for many, many years, but I'm so meticulous. And I didn't even know about all of this. I just knew the ingredients were bad. And when it says natural flavor, you don't know what that natural flavor is. And more
That's partly human remains.
exactly.
I'll tell you what that is. That's what it is. Yeah.
So I knew you were going to say that, Max. I was going to leave that to you, but it's, and they're putting insects in our food too, and I was telling somebody that, and they said, well, some countries eat insects. I'm like, I don't want to eat insects. We're not supposed to eat insects. We're not a bird, we're not supposed to digest that stuff. So yeah. So Max, did you
I forgot to mention, sorry, Palantir, the AI company.
Yeah.
Its stock's being shorted. So this came from a dear friend of mine. So the stocks are being shorted. So I predicted that it would go down in 2025. So it's pretty close. It's predicted to fall by 76%. Something big is going on.
Okay. Yeah. Raised your
I
hand.
did not put my hand up. Bloody AI.
Said you did this.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to turn it off.
That's great.
I was on a Zoom with Max, and my Zoom was like going in and out. I'm like, why is it doing that? That's so freaky. I had to turn
because
it
it's
off.
got this new thing. Yeah, it's very annoying.
I don't like any of that. Max, did you make any predictions last year that came to pass?
I don't really make predictions so much as I get sort of a download of things. So I don't call it that, but what I believe is that the US government is going to fold and go down. I saw that happening a few months ago, and then I saw that they were able to reopen until this month. From some information I got, it was because they had bribed some Middle Eastern royals with the Epstein files, and so they got some money from there to keep it going. So I'm pretty sure at some point soon that the US government will go down, and then so will others like dominoes. I'm wondering if Trump invading Venezuela is a oil or money grab to keep the government going. What I am observing and what I saw years ago is that we're getting to a point where the cult factions, because the cult is composed of many sub factions, that they're now cannibalizing each other. So they're going after each other. They used to, so that's good for us in the sense that that means they're failing. And that's something that I've known for years. I saw a few years back, it doesn't look like they have control over the financial system the way they used to. And I think that's because the people at the tippy top of the pyramid aren't here anymore because they can't, the level of human consciousness, as much as there's a lot of asleep people, it's really gone up massively. And so they can only exist here at a lower frequency bandwidth, which is why they keep us all in survival and fear. So I think the people at the top are no longer there. And so it's the middle management of the cult running the show. And you can see they're just a disaster. They do this, they do that, they're running all over the place. So I would guess that pretty soon we're going to see governments go away, which is a very positive thing for humanity. And it's, from what I can tell, so we live in a matrix, like a simulation, right? And so there's original creation, which we're made of, but everything that we exist in now is like an overlay on that original creation. The dark is an artificial version of the creator because they can't be anything else, right? So it's like so you can imagine like an evil AI machine has been overlaying everything, and like each of our cells, in a sense, to harvest our energy to keep this machine and this matrix going, right? And this is why they use innocent children in rituals, because that's a whole boatload of energy for them, right? So this machine, the main thing that I've gotten in the last few months is that it's glitching. It does not have the control that it had. So this is at layers, dimensions above, but as above, so below. So it's going to trickle down into 3D. And what that means is because as much as in 3D, they've poisoned our minds, they've mind controlled us, you know, the air, the water, the chemtrails, blah, blah, blah. They've been suppressing our human abilities and consciousness at a higher dimensional level. That's what I'm talking about. That level is glitching. So if you can imagine this AI machine had like a dark cloud around us, it's starting to dissipate. So what's going to happen is we're going to restore our normal connection that we've always had to the divine, and our abilities that we all have but have been suppressed are going to kind of come back online. And when, as that keeps happening, and even normie people are going to have these, you know, when that veil is removed, so to speak, humanity's going to start rising and rising, and it's going to go exponentially faster every month, you know, every year. And so I think it's like my great joy is that I can feel that it's a done deal. It's already happened, so it's only a matter of time as that trickles down. But once that control at those levels, at those dimensional levels, it's now full of holes and it's going to go down. So we're going to remember who we are. And once that, I mean, think of the effort they've put into keeping us poisoned and mind controlled and our consciousness dumbed down. It's game over for these parasites because we're coming into our own. So that's, it doesn't mean right now they're going to fight. The dying beast is going to fight like hell. So let's just be realistic. And we're seeing evidence of it all the time out there. War is a ritual sacrifice. It's money. It's trying to harvest money, trying to harvest energy. So they're going to be a little desperate, we've been seeing. And but if you keep the bigger picture, I think it's so positive from now and going forward.
Absolutely. Can I just say the wars as well, these murdering of lots and lots of souls at the same time, or people, and releasing their souls, but then holding them in a framework, which is what the controlled ley lines are, the ones that are in the cities that have all the piezoelectric buildings and obelisks and, you know, shrines and things and monuments to fallen soldiers. That stops the earth from ascending quickly. They do that to try and stop the ascension process. So it's exactly what Max was saying. It's true, and they do spell casting. They trap the souls. They have them, you know, they when you go into the military, you sign over your children and your grandchildren for experimentation. There's all these sorts of rituals and spell casts and things that they do with the military. That even that's going to fall apart. They're not going to be able to do that anymore. I think that's why we're not necessarily seeing so many wars, because we are also chattel to them, and they don't want to necessarily lose the value of each individual. We're worth money to them, but they will do it for energetic purposes.
What you just said, Max, makes sense, because when the government shut down here, I was quite surprised when it opened back up.
Yeah,
So
me too.
I was very surprised, but then I also received the same vision that you did, that I was seeing it shut back down again. But now with this whole thing in Venezuela, what you said makes sense, right? So you would invade another country to get money, right?
They have oil.
Yeah, they have oil and they have
This
rare
is the
minerals.
same playbook as before, as 9/11, you know?
Yeah. So, but see, it's going to fizzle out. It's the last ditch effort. It's the last ditch effort. So, because we're all, from what I've been shown for what's coming, the split is inevitable, and it's coming in February, and it's like the first big split, because then the final split, what I've been shown, is at the end of 2026, the first of 2027, and that's it. So, yeah.
I had that vision many years ago of humanity going towards this huge mountain and then having to go left or right. There's definitely going to be a split, I believe, as well. And it's a choice, you know. It doesn't mean people who choose, let's say, the lower path in the split, you know, they'll just reincarnate, they'll just have a different way to learn and grow. And but I think we're at a point, our planet has been reset many, many times in history. That's why you see buildings that could only have been built by very precise, probably by moving objects with your mind. There's all the stories of Atlantis and all these, I mean, this is all true. And so when humanity gets too uppity, to use that word, too conscious, we're reset. The great flood of Noah's Ark story, which is in every indigenous story in the world. I mean, how would that be the case? That was a reset. So they were trying to reset. Was another reset time because, as Rachel has said before, the dark, Kali Yuga is over. It's a light age. So astrologically, it favors us rising in consciousness and coming into our own. And they know that. The cult people know all of this. So I saw during COVID them rushing to like put the lid on before, and it didn't work. COVID did not work. I mean, yes, a lot of people got jabbed or whatever, but I even think that higher consciousness will nullify the jab.
Yeah.
So I'm not even worried about that. So yeah, I think it's definitely these creatures are done. They're not resetting us this time. It's not happening. They want to, they're going to keep trying because it's like they have an AI, this machine AI telling their brains what to do, right? So that's what makes them stupid in a sense. I mean, they have a lot of more knowledge and advantages, but they're also it reminds me of that Energizer Bunny commercial where the thing just keeps going and pounding the drum. And it's kind of like that's how these creatures are, right? So yeah, they're not resetting us this time. Sorry.
No, they're not. All right. Are we ready to start with our prediction? Who wants to go first?
Well, I feel like I just gave my predictions, so I'm good and you guys go.
Okay. You want to go next, Rachel?
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. So obviously it's a 1 year. So 2 + 2 + 6 makes 10, which brings you back to the 1. So 1 years are the beginning of a new cycle. So my recommendation for people is to do something new, because if you just try and keep working for the man and doing some job that you cannot stand this year, it's going to feel like quicksand and it's going to drive you crazy. So this is the time to break out and do something new. So because I got a couple of months out with my predictions, with a lot of my predictions for last year, now I'm doing them in blocks. So for January, February, March, I'm seeing this financial shift. Probably February, as Angie said. We were talking about this previously, and we both got it was going to happen in Feb. So I've never seen it being a negative. One thing I would recommend people do is if they've got super or if they've got 401ks or whatever it is that's called in your country, and if there's any loophole that you can get access to it, I would do that. I would do that now if you can, as quickly as possible. I got that King Charles would be announced at some point in the first quarter of this year. I think he's probably been gone for a while. Those, the sausage fingers thing, it just looks like they don't look like real hands. So I think that's already sort of been done, but it will be announced. I did get, it's interesting you were just saying, Max, about the reset. I did get an attempt at a mud flood that would not work. So unfortunately, we'll see it in some, poor countries, most likely they'll start it off. But it's interesting because there's those areas wherever it does sort of start, they're uninhabited pretty much. They're quite deeply spiritual areas, but uninhabited. So it could be because they're trying to get rid of the absolutely beautiful temples and things in those areas because they're deeply spiritual and they're portal spaces, but it just won't take off. I did also get Max and I are close with a guy called Dale Holmes, who talks a lot about, the shoe symbolism that you see all the time with rituals and things. I do see a lot of shoe symbolism in the first quarter of 2026. That's going to be big. Some false flags, but they'll be thwarted. So they might be trying to take out large numbers of people because that's the main thing that they do now. They don't necessarily do these huge wars like they used to in the same way, but they are still doing that, but it's not a world war type situation. I get these attempts at all these false flags that just pretty much fizzle out. Small numbers of people might sadly lose their lives, but it's nothing major. Another intense push
for 2026.
So these are predictions for 2026, yeah.
Yes, she said it. I said it's all coming down.
So attempts to disarm Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, the island nations in the southern hemisphere, which again won't work because there's just too many loopholes. Again, this big pharma company that I mentioned before, most likely Sanofi. I keep getting the symbol of Pfizer, but I don't know that it's Pfizer. So I'm working out, it's more likely to be Sanofi given the Hep B shots aren't being recommended to children anymore. So for the April, May, June period, I got governmental disarray. So what Max was saying before, government's going down, I think that's when it's going to happen. So if you work in government, look for a different job. And I'm not trying to stress people out, but pre-warned is, you can pre-armed, you can get stuff happening, you can find another position. I do think that government positions in most Western countries will just be tenuous because I don't think the governments are going to be running things. So I do see, mass layoffs. What I see with these governments falling, I think it's mostly because it's going to be proven that these elections that they do they're not honest and true. In Australia, we also have the issue of our seal with the kangaroo and the emu is totally illegal. It's not based in any kind of legal reasoning. So that's going to happen for Australia. But I think that's sort of the selection factor and the fact that, the way that the whole system's been set up on a lie. And that's what they do. The Satanists, they have to do everything on a lie. It has to be an inversion. It can't be real. It can't be honest and true. And that's to our advantage because we can unpick it and it will fall apart. And what I see then are council type situations where governments run on, you might have 300 or 400 people for each state, say in Australia, who then make decisions, not just small parties of idiots that are puppets. I saw native animals flocking to big cities, interestingly, because they're trying to send us a message. It's interesting. I also got the prediction last year that we were going to see mass migration of animals, and we did see that, but apparently that was supposedly all fake. These animals leaving Yellowstone because it's supposed to be some sort of major eruption or something like that. But I can actually see native animals flocking into the big cities, particularly in Australia, and a lot of telepathic communication with animals and people coming up. Again, more of these people leaving countries that they weren't born in, going back home. I saw Soros announced, so I think he's probably been gone for a while, but he's announced all of his money's confiscated. Some of his family members won't have a great time. Again, what I mentioned about the ice cream, these soft serve ice creams, the fat, they say it comes from pig fat. It's not. It's from us. A lot about cannibalism is going to come out. So in that second quarter of 2026. I also got a growing number of mothers not putting their kids in childcare, just refusing to do so. The kindergarten industry falls as well. So there's a lot more parents, a lot more than now, a huge number more than now will not be doing that. And a lot of mothers also giving birth at home, refusing to go into hospitals because of the DCP. So in Australia, it's called the Department of Child Protection. It's the absolute opposite. So with relation to that, in the third quarter, July, August, September, I see a lot of people, Australia and worldwide, who work in these government agencies to take children off loving families because of the child trafficking. It's a huge boon financially for each country. They traffic these children into the foster industry. I see a lot of DCP workers speaking out about it. So they're just going to go, it's going to go through the roof. So that's in that third quarter. I get talks of royal commissions in many countries. But it's just money laundering. Basically, royal commissions are about money laundering and putting in suppression orders. So there'll be a big backlash because it's not the answer. It doesn't help. I got also, interestingly, I got posses. We've seen this in other countries, but posses getting together. I think it actually happened in the UK last year as well. When the DCP or these child protection officers try and steal children, that communities come together to prevent it from happening. Because large numbers can prevent this. This is what we've got on these scumbags. We have got the numbers. So I would love to say that there's no more of that child trafficking, the state-sanctioned version next or this year or perhaps next year. I think it's going to get to a point where it's not going to be the norm like it has been for so long. also got supermarkets being destroyed by angry mobs. So that's interesting. I got, it's mostly because they know now, people will know that the food is poison. So with the SNAP payments, I mean, that was one thing that I saw for last year as well, that people would be recognizing, and the food on the supermarket shelves that was poisonous just would stay there, would languish, and then would have to be thrown out. Well, the SNAP payments happened, or the stopping of the SNAP payments, which basically was just poison. It was just all the worst food you could possibly imagine. So they were helping people out by not having them sent that stuff anyway. Okay. I got ocean creatures turning up that we've never seen before. Highly intelligent ocean creatures, which is really interesting. In the and again, lots and lots of perpetrators, MK Ultra tools, of perpetrators that we see on the screen. I see them hanging their head in shame. So I got this for last year. I didn't see enough of it. Sometimes I'll get the month right, but the year wrong. So I think that it's probably going to happen this year, a lot more of it anyway. I got in the last quarter, the way that we treat animals as food is going to change. And I feel like there will be a big backlash against eating things like, it's interesting, cows. I mean, in India, they don't eat cows. They're very intelligent. Horses, things like octopus, whales, cetaceans, large reptiles like crocodiles, they won't be on the menu anymore, which is really interesting. So that's something that I got. And feedlots and slaughterhouses would be phased out, which is a big call, something I've been hoping for a very long time, but let's just see what happens. I got that it would be announced in the last quarter of 26 that Bill Gates was, I think he's been gone a long time again, but it's the announcement of him going. And interesting, it's like, that's what I got. So I hope people understand what that means. Again, judges under intense scrutiny, secret society connections, anybody who's got any kind of secret society connection in the judiciary will be outed and will have to leave their position. Basically, 2026 will be the end of the patriarchy because it's still a number one, and number one is patriarchy. As we go into 2027, we're going into the number 2. 22 and 2 and 7 makes 11. 11's a master number. Break that down to 2. 2 is the feminine. It's also love. So 2026 is going to be tumultuous, but 2027 I think is going to be really, really beautiful. So I also, like Max, I wrote in my notes, end of the Great Reset. It's done. They will finally acknowledge that they can't go any further with it. A lot of the woke stuff will disappear or just, just be phased out because they can see it's pointless. And I also got the Satanic Temple would be outlawed. So there would also be sort of call centers or specific groups. And I'm not advocating for this because I don't know. It's very difficult to trust when you've been through the sorts of things that Max and I have been through. It's very, very hard to trust. But I got that there would be these specific groups who would be created to take seriously allegations of SRA, as opposed to what we've had in so many of these Western countries where, you just get laughed at and you just get treated like an idiot. And I got Dob Satanist, which I thought was hilariously funny, and I'll leave it on that. So that's my predictions for this year.
Okay. All right. Well, interestingly,
See, Angie, I don't want to do like a whole long list like Rachel did, but I just want to say everything you said, Rachel, 100%. And I think people need to really think about not working for the government, but also not working for corporations, because those are going to go down too.
Yeah.
Corporations, if you know, even from the word, those are negative. They've always been negative, and they've always gotten welfare from the cult. So they're those are you can almost say corporations are what kings used to be. So I think those are going to go down as well. So if you work for anything like that, it's time to do our own businesses, our own work. And with the food, it's so easy. You can grow food on a balcony. So I think just move towards that direction. And I do already see, Rachel, shockingly to me, normal people putting out posts and saying they're not taking their children in to get the jabs anymore, any of them, right? And so that is so huge. And I think that's going to continue. And you know, it's their attempt at convid is what I call it. That's what started this. It started a mass awakening on the medical and pharmaceutical system. And I think people are going to be leaving it in droves, which, you know, hopefully that'll help it completely collapse. So I just wanted, sorry, Angie, just say I completely agree with all of that. And, you know, something you said, last thing I'll say is on a planet where we're not constrained the way we are here, where it's not as low frequency. In higher frequency places, people eat light. They don't eat other living beings. So I think I don't think that's in the next year, mind you, but I think that's eventually something that's going to happen. We're going to be, and also on higher frequency planets, money doesn't exist. So I think that's going to go away at some point too, because really, if I want to manifest a sandwich, I could manifest a sandwich in my hand right now and eat it, right? Like if you've ever read Masters of the Far East, they do that. Like this is an ability we actually have. It's suppressed, it's, you know, reduced, it's controlled because of this AI machine. But as that goes away, when you can manifest a home to live in, you don't need money.
Yeah.
So that's much more long term, but eating food and using money is not going to be part of our reality in the future.
Great. I believe we'll get to the way the breatharians were, you know, where they breathe in everything they need too, you know, your minerals and your nutrients and all of that. So I've actually been working on that myself. Just kidding. Trying to get there, you know. As you say, we're still suppressed. So until the matrix is fully dissolved, which I believe for a lot of us, it's very close to being 100% dissolved for a lot of us that are fully unplugged from the matrix and, you know, fully awake to things. For everyone else, I think it's getting closer to 75%. So come to February, I think it's going to be closer for a lot of people because there's some big stuff coming in February from what I was shown. So the first thing that I got, and this, I started receiving stuff after we did our last live in September. So I had something with the Heinz 57 company, and I have no idea if she has blonde hair, but I got a blonde woman in the company, possibly the owner. There's something really big coming with the Heinz 57 company. But I also received later on in my predictions that big companies, like all big companies, and we're talking like HOAs, like everything, they're all going to fall. So it goes along with what you were saying with everything you were given a warning to people, and I concur with that. So yeah, because there's more and more going to be coming out about the food. I got that as well. It's more and more coming out with the food, what's in it, big companies falling, and I'm talking like big companies, the grocery stores, everything is collapsing because people, they're done. And so we're going to be going back to growing our own food, local farmers markets, you know, all of that. So, which is great because that's what you should be doing. And then you actually know what's in your food and what is going into your body. So until we can get to the point where we're a breatharian or we're able to manifest, you know, our own food, that's what we're going to have to do. So, and as you said, Rachel, it is a 1 year. We're starting a new 9-year cycle. And I wasn't understanding this last year that in September, October, when I was seeing like a horse like running, you know, crazy. I didn't know it was the year of the fire horse. So then I started seeing all this stuff about fire horse. And so that kind of explained some of the visions I was seeing too. So I called 2025 the demolition year because it was that we were clearing out that 9-year cycle. And so I guess it was also the year of the snake. So shedding the skin and all of that made sense too. So, you know, I still see the 3 timelines, the 3 main timelines. I was told that all black timeline is completely like, it's like dead. It's lost. So it's basically irrelevant to us. And you and I have both said that's the 20% that will not make it. So still have the all gold one in the center. And I was told that is the people that are in full alignment. They know their job. They know what they're here to do. The people on the half gold, half gray, they have work to do. And the big thing that they have to do is releasing the fear. So these are the people like you were saying, leave the job, do what you're passionate about, secure your 401k or, whatever it's called in your country. You've got to release the fear. And this is when I get on social media and I see people posting things like, I dread this, or, I'm scared of this or whatever. You're feeding into the fear. You've got to release the fear so you can do your work and get over onto the, the main, but you're still, from what I was told, those people are they're going to make what's coming. Because I've got this nice little drawing here. I don't know if you guys can see it. So,
Hey, Angie, can I just insert something there?
Yeah.
There is a person on this call, on this Zoom, who's done exactly that. She's had the courage to leave her job because she doesn't want to be part of the beast system anymore.
that's true.
With nothing to go to. She just had the courage to leave it. She knows who she is,
That's true.
but I'm very proud of her for doing that. So if she wants to speak up later and share her story, she can. But I personally know someone who had the guts to do that, and I'm amazed.
Yeah, I'm very
It's a
proud
big
of her
thing.
for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in February, I was shown, and I've been shown this since the end of September. And first I was shown it for Max for something personal, but then it's evolved into for everyone. So it's this cliff, and the cliff goes to the right. And the people that choose to go on the cliff, that's the people that they're going home. And like Max said, that they're going to reincarnate. So that's the end. They're choosing to go to the right. That's for 3D, basically. They're not going to evolve anymore. They're choosing to go home. The people that go to the left, what I was shown I was shown the months of March and April, and they were all in white and gold, and for those months and beyond. And so the people that choose to go to the left is the new earth. And so then I was shown people being on horses. And I didn't know it was the year of the fire horse, but I was shown people on horses in all different ways. So I was shown people like confidently riding their horses and like in control of their horse. Then I was shown people like on bucking horses and not being in control of their horse, or people like hanging off their horse and like their foot was like, in the, what's that called?
The stirrup.
Yeah, the stirrup. And they were like hanging off the horse. There was all different modes of people on their horses. And I was like, oh, this looks like a shit show, So there's going to be like all different, everybody's going to make it, but they're going to be all different levels of people on their horses. So this is what I received in my download. February is going to bring a ginormous cosmic bitch slap to many who have avoided endings or doing their inner soul healing work. For some, it may be quite catastrophic the way conclusions or truths are delivered. The universe is going to end things for you, to be quite frank, that you have been avoiding. So a lot of people that have been putting things off, whether it's leaving a job, leaving a relationship, getting on track with their health, here comes your bitch slap. That's what I was told. It was crazy the way I received this. So, and a lot of times the universe, when you don't end things that you need to end, and you need to end, or you need to fix, or whatever, the universe will do it for you. And it's not always pleasant when it comes through that way. So for those that make the split, and this is what I was shown, this is the first major split that's happening. So in February, for those that make the split and haven't done their soul healing work, they have 1 year to get their shit together. 1 year. For you, this year is going to feel a bit chaotic, like you're on a bucking horse. And that's what I've seen for 2026. While it's going to be a year of courage and moving forward and doing new things, it's also going to be quite a chaotic year, because there's going to be a lot of things going on and a lot of fast moving things and a lot of things coming at you quite quickly. And so if you're not very grounded and not, secure with knowing who you are and what you need to do and all of that, it's going to be kind of like this. For those that have been working on themselves, but still are on their healing journey, your horse is a bit more unpredictable. You may have bouts of trotting, galloping, stampeding, and even moments of grazing. So like where your horse just stops and is grazing on some grass and you're going to feel a bit stuck until you reach a nice, comfortable control of your horse by year's end. For those of you who have spent the past 9 or more years healing all around and balancing your shadow self, you'll be riding your horse with ease while helping everyone else get control of their horse. You are the lighthouses. This is a year of courage and action for you. Say yes to new experiences. Don't be afraid to shine. Expand in every way possible. Stay grounded and humble, and remember you were once on a bucking horse. Help those behind you with love and compassion. Everything is frequency. Once you realize this, nothing is impossible. You are free. What you believe will be. Your frequency is your timeline. When I say people have 1 year, that means originally when Rachel and I saw people had 2 years in January 2025, those that make this split will have 1 year before the final shift for those that make this one. So there's 1 year. So, and it's going to be quite interesting this year. So from what I understand, the year of the fire horse happens every 60 years. So what I've been seeing is like, it's a crumbling from the past 60 years to now. So this makes sense to me with where I just kept seeing all this crumbling coming down. The old is crumbling fast. Truth is a very high frequency, and it's dissolving the old fast like flames. And I actually was shown like the fire horse running all around the world, exposing everything, and like flames were around it. Now, I don't mean that the world is going to be on fire, but it's going to be like with truth, like, and it's going to be faster than people can handle, I think, from what I was being shown. And this is where I was shown like more coming out about the food and what's in it, big companies falling, and huge, massive companies. So if you love the certain companies that you order at home, like I don't know, guys. I was shown some really big names of companies, Walmart, Amazon. More coming out about pets and veterinarians, their food and vaccines, more vets speaking out and going natural, and even using energy healing on animals. And I'm getting that for about March of 2026. This next one's kind of interesting because I was shown an uprising of people worldwide. And this kind of goes into what you were saying, Rachel and Max, both of you. People are finally seeing that a united front is how you bring change, not war, not guns, not violence. This is how I'm being shown a massive crumbling of the old worldwide. It also has something to do with frequency, and it's February to March. I mean, it's going to go onward, but it's going to be like towards the end of February going into March is what I was shown. I was also given names of cities and countries: Milan, UK, Germany, South Africa, Melbourne. And in the US, I was shown the states of California, Washington, and Oregon, all dark, like completely dark. It says no political parties. The people are the rulers. Feels more like a coming together. And I was shown like a circle. So like the whole United States is like everyone coming together. So it's so on point with what both of you are saying. So it's everyone realizing that we, the people, have the power. And this is going to be happening worldwide. And it already has happened in some countries, but they still installed like another government. So, we don't need government. And again, I got manifesting is becoming easier than ever before, which is what Max was saying. More deaths coming January through March onward as people choose to go home and not stay. I received the message that you will lose contact with people as your frequency rises. You may only be able to text with some and then not at all. Face-to-face contact will be impossible as it becomes apparent where people are compared to you in frequency. You can't save everyone. You can only help those that are willing to help themselves first. I received to watch the Ring of Fire which is out in the Pacific, which I have been given this message since February of 2025. And I've been working on that area, but this kind of lines up with your mud thing, because it was somewhere like a while back. I was given some places. I had talked to Marg about this, like New Guinea and some other places that were in the Ring of Fire. So again, I was told to watch the Ring of Fire. I was told that you should have 5 days of 5 days of cash on hand at all times. So whatever you spend in a day, make sure you have 5 days of that. It's not about being comfortable anymore. It's an action year. So say yes. Fear holds you back. Excuses will make you lose out. Watch your words, thoughts, intentions, beliefs. I always give you guys this message, but I always get it. They're creating your reality more than ever. I can't stress this enough. Protect your energy daily. You've got to protect your energy. We're still in a spiritual war. You've got to protect your energy. This is interesting because earlier today I got on Facebook and I saw a post somebody made of Mount Fuji in Japan, of the sunrise on January 1st. And the sunrise had split on the mountain. The mountain was in the center and the sunrise is split. And there's obviously it looked like chemtrail clouds to me, but there was all these clouds in the sky. And so it had split in two over the mountain. And I had just gotten done doing my downloads. So I kind of feel that was a confirmation to me about what's coming in February and beyond. So, it got along with what you were saying with the financial stuff. And I don't know if I'm going to explain this right or not. I was shown a controlled collapse of the financial system, because I was shown these big locks, like a ship that moves through the canal, like the Panama Canal or something, where they got the locks in there. And I was shown these locks that was moving into place and then moving down and then moving up. And it was these like really big locks, and they kept moving, but it was controlled. And the locks moved up and down flawlessly without issues. It's a controlled collapse of the financial system all around the world. So sure you have cash on hand. More survivors coming out from all kinds of trauma, whether it's SRA, MK Ultra, medical, trafficking, foster system, like everything. Anyone that's had any kind of trauma, they're going to be bonding together and banding together in a way like never before. And people are going to be listening, because the next thing I received was, I was shown this person in kind of like a blue type waterfall of energy, but it was like frequency. And the waterfall was frequency of truth. And the person emerged through this, and it was like they were emerging through the waterfall of energy, the frequency of truth, but then they were becoming it at the same time. And then there was a bunch of people behind them that was having the same thing happen to them. So it was happening massively and simultaneously. So I feel it's a metaphor for like a massive awakening and people understanding the truth is within them. And so how people are always saying they want the truth, they need the truth. Well, as they raise their frequency and vibration, they do that inner work and heal, they're going to understand they have the truth inside of them and they become the truth, right? And we all band together and we are that. So I think that's it. That's what I got.
Hey, Angie, I want to piggyback on frequency and say something about that. So, there's different, everything is a wave, it's energy. And so there's beta and theta and all these. And what a frequency is, if the wave, when it goes up and then there's a down and then there's another up, the frequency is the space in between. And so this AI machine can interfere and create chaos in those spaces in between. So the frequency of love has almost no space in between. It's really tight. So if you stay in the frequency of love, you are not giving that AI machine a chance to get in the middle there and mess about. So stay in that frequency as much as you can. I have a little hummingbird who built a tiny, beautiful little nest in the tree right out here that I can see right now. And every morning I check on her and I have this frequency of love for this tiny creature. It can be as simple as that. Okay. But try and stay in love frequency because you're not giving the machine a chance to mess about. Um, it's so tight. It's such a tight frequency. It can't really be interfered with by the dark.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah. I think the hummingbird might be your little totem bird, Max, because
Yeah.
it's so significant to you.
I have always had them wherever I've lived. There's always a hummingbird. It's odd, yeah.
Very cool.
They're just, she has 2 eggs in her nest. She's such a good mommy. She sits on them. It's been raining and she's huddled in the rain on her little eggs. It's just so precious. Life is so beautiful. This planet is so beautiful. We can't forget that either as Angie says, the shit hits the fan. And I love your comment that this year might be a bit of a bitch slap. Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to say it. I love that.
Max, you've got me saying that word a lot. So it came through and I was like, oh, well, I'm supposed to say it. So we've done our predictions. And as promised, before we take questions, we're going to give a little treat here. We've all been watching Stranger Things, and it's not just an entertainment show. It is a documentary. And who better to tell us about that documentary than two survivors here who have been watching the show. And Max has done several reels. Rachel's done a post on it as well, but Max had one of her reels go viral. So yeah.
To my surprise, yeah.
I was not surprised at all. They're like really good. So it had over 1 million views, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, where was it?
Instagram.
Wow, well done.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, and then your other one, how many did it get?
Alicia tells me the numbers. I don't even know. I'm so bad with technology. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure, but a lot. I think a lot. Yeah.
I was keeping track, and then I didn't look before I got on here, so I'm a bad host.
Yeah.
Which
This is good news, not necessarily, I mean, I don't really understand the whole numbers game, but it's good news to me because that means people are receptive. They're open. They're able to hear, And all I said is that I watched the show because Jill actually told me to watch it and other people, and I did. And I was so struck by the amount of disclosure. When I saw the girl 11 in the facility, it was really a little rough because I've been in facilities like that. So everything they reveal there is astonishingly accurate. I mean, it's not only Stranger Things. There's Blacklist and The Matrix and The Bourne Identity and Fringe and I mean a bazillion others. They reveal through movies and TV, and then they're very sneaky, so they know we're going to assume it's fictional, but that's how they reveal their method. It's revelation of the method, and it's to put it out there so that by universal law they're supposed to disclose because this is a free will planet, so we have to consent to what they're doing, so they reveal it here. We don't say no, that's considered consent. So yeah, no, it was super interesting. So much of that show is and then there's little things in it, like the girl Holly and her Alice in Wonderland dress. Did you see that, Rachel? Alice in
And the
Wonderland.
holly branch is often used for, holly is very significant, just the name itself.
Well, her name, exactly, yeah. Which references the MK Ultra Alice in Wonderland programming. I mean, they literally had the Hopper guy find an article about MK Ultra. 11 and the character Papa, that evil fuck, that's trauma bonding. That's exactly what they do. They have the person brutally traumatize the child and then be like a parental loving figure. I mean, that's the Jesuit formula right there. So yeah, no, it's been really interesting to see, though, the fact that most people who responded were either interested and didn't know, already knew. And, there's always the small fraction of idiot trolls, but we ignore those.
Yeah. I also like I was picking up on a lot of the stuff that you guys were picking up on, a lot of the symbolism, a lot of the things, because of being friends with you guys and following your stories and knowing all of the stuff that I've researched and all of that. But I also was picking up on things like when they conquered their fear, or they, like
Yeah.
in the one scene where they expressed their love for each other, and it caused all of the, the stuff coming in the one room to stop coming in, and it solidified, and I thought, yeah, see, they're telling you how you can conquer all of this, and how they all banded together, at the end. I hope I'm not ruining it for anybody that hasn't watched it, but when they all band together at the end, and then they say, Will says he's not afraid. When you release fear and everyone comes together, that's how you defeat, you know?
Yeah,
So,
that's a really good point, Angie. I noticed that too. It's if you have the courage to stand up to evil, you will defeat it. Absolutely. I think almost my favorite character in there is Nancy. She starts out as a mousy little,
yeah,
She's like
teenager,
Rambo
and
at the
she's
end.
so
yeah,
badass with her guns and
yes,
everything. And she just really exemplifies that courage. Yeah.
Yeah.
and she
And the
basically
symbolism was just
chooses
uncanny.
herself, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the radio station, checkerboard floor, black and white checkerboard, because
Yes.
that's who we have telling us in the mainstream media. They're all cult members.
Yeah.
And so, that's the broadcast is the Freemasonic belief system. What made me laugh was at the end where Hopper, and Hopper's a term for somebody who goes in and out of portals, by the way. It's like jumping timelines.
Oh, yeah.
So there's so much in the names as well. I am, will of God, William. So he's also, but Hopper says at the end that he's going to go off and get a job at Montauk.
Yeah.
So
I know.
obviously the next series is about Montauk,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great because that starts to get really like what was happening obviously with the MK Ultra program in the Stranger Things sort of paradigm is horrific enough, but the Montauk stuff gets into the chimeras, and that's not just superhuman stuff. They're actually melding humans with animals,
Yeah.
and all
And
sorts of other creepy stuff.
Did you see how they disclosed adrenochrome with the collie? Was that her name?
Yeah.
And the military woman, just that she literally said she's like a vampire. She needs my blood. It's like I watched that and went, oh my God, and then the horror of seeing the strapped down pregnant women, which we all know they have captive women in these facilities, and they breed them and they use these babies either to become another 11 or to sacrifice or to rape or to traffic. It was really astonishing. But I've seen these kinds of things if you guys go watch the show Blacklist, it's really interesting. Every episode reveals something, and there was an episode about women being held captive and their babies being taken in that show as well. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Did you notice too with the blood? So Rh negative blood is somewhat universal. Most people can take it. So what they were
Yes,
showing was that Henry's blood was from a bloodline family.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah,
Very true. I think
yeah,
the series was actually based on Montauk. I think they were going to call it Montauk, and then
they were.
Netflix
Yeah,
wanted it to be called that, so they called it Stranger Things.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah. And then the lower astral. I mean, that world is, I mean, that is the lower astral. And the ways that they could go through, those are portals. And that's what the cult does. That's when they sacrifice children. They do that so that to use that energy to open a portal and get these entities to come into 3D. I mean, it was so stunningly accurate. And most people will think, oh, that's crazy. Sorry to inform you, no, it's real. I've
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
it.
The
Yeah.
rituals are performed and they cause death to open the portal, because at death a portal opens, and so they invert it. But what I was also amazed by, the upside down, is the description of the way that the natural earth energy lines, which are the earth's meridians, are turned in a opposite frequency spiral by Freemasons, and that's what you call a ley line, and that is where all the piezoelectric buildings and monuments and trapped souls are. They invert the frequency, so they're literally making it upside down.
Yeah.
And honestly, the technology that's in these crossing points of lays or earth energy lines, that is, I mean, that's Akashic. That's all the intelligence, all of the knowledge that's ever existed on this planet is accessible through those portals. So once people realize the power of them, and this is why secret society members will go out and perform a ritual in the open in one of these spaces and risk being photographed, filmed, because it's so important to do it in that space, because that's where the power is, that's where the doorways are that they want to access.
Yeah.
So it was just profoundly accurate.
Yeah, the upside down, I thought of it as the satanic inversion. And exactly what you said about the ley lines is what I get from the AI machine. It takes our cells and it runs them the opposite direction, and that's how they use us to power their reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating. Fascinating.
It's bizarre. The Demogorgons. I mean, I did a painting for year 12 that's almost identical. I think I might publish that again, because I pretty much like I drew these things way back. Yeah.
You should. You should.
Except where the teeth are, there's a big eyeball with my depiction. But
yeah,
I had this knowledge that they were going to do this. You know, we're talking, I'm 15, 16 years old, and I've been in these underground facilities and I've seen the stuff that they've done. And I was, you know, they tried to get me to kill cats, and technicians suffered as a result because I wasn't going to do it. And, you know, a lot of what comes up in that program, you know, I've been through, Max has been through, so many other people have said, you know, that they had the cat experiences too. And they use cats for that because cats are interdimensional. Because for you to interact with an animal that's interdimensional means that you bring out the super soldier traits. You know, human beings are incredibly powerful telekinetically. So it's just amazing that they would bring all of this out. I know that they're trying to make it look like it's just entertainment, but too many people are awake at the moment.
Yeah. And when 11 gets really angry and things get destroyed, I have done that. I have gotten so angry, then it scared me, and but yeah, it's all so real. And I wasn't bred and raised in a facility, but she exemplifies all the children that were. There are children, folks, that were bred, born, and raised in these underground facilities and never saw regular life ever. So the fact that she didn't know anything, that's very realistic as well. So Angie, do people get a chance to ask questions as well?
they sure do. And that's why I was reading. Someone there's questions and comments in the chat here. Somebody just put they discovered yesterday. There's a whole smut series of books that tout evil as fantasy. GG Sticks. I haven't heard of those. Have you guys?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Deborah says in Tartaria there were no toilets. So that makes sense.
Well, if you're eating light, you don't need to digest anything.
Right.
There'd be no peeing or pooping.
Yeah.
And actually, when you look into like fasting or intermittent fasting, when you're not digesting is when your body can heal and repair itself. So, I mean, we do have a digestive system, but you have to understand we've been genetically modified by these people.
Yep.
Okay, so, and the thing that we have, this pineal gland, which it has photoreceptive cells. However, it's deep in the brain. It's not like it gets no light coming to it, because it's the eye that looks inward and looks across dimensions. And the cult knows the power of, it's like our 3D connection point, right? And they know this. And so I was doing a little research, and the things that are most toxic to it, especially in combination, are glyphosate, fluoride, Wi-Fi, and aluminum. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's no accident what they've done to us. They're so scared of us coming into our own.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what, bitches, it's happening and you can't stop it. Sorry.
Exactly. And as people ascend through their awakening process and go to higher and higher frequencies, that pineal gland gets more and more online. It doesn't really matter what they put on us or put on us or, make us drink or eat, it's going to come online.
Right. And, Jill's taught me to purify and sanctify everything. So I've been working on that. Like I made, created my statement and then I do it with everything. And then she's also taught me that I can say, or I can ask, how good is this for me before I do it? And I can get, certain number, like from 0 to 10, or it might even be like below 0. And then I can purify and sanctify it. And then I ask, how good is it now on a 0 to 10? And, it'll bring it up. So by doing that, so I'm doing it with everything. I'm just practicing on doing it with everything, because I'm trying to get in the habit of doing it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well
So does
done.
anyone have questions for Max and Rachel? We've got a lot of people in here. Everybody's always real shy at first, but once someone goes, then
Come on, Sun Yin, you're always the courageous one. Why
Yes.
don't you start?
Yeah. No pressure.
our
No
moderator.
pressure. But if you're talking, remember you're muted because somebody had to mute everyone. I think it was you, actually.
He was.
Yeah. No, excuse me. So, I don't really have a question, but something, yeah. And so, anyway, so I think it was actually Max you were talking about. Oh, it's Deborah's. I think it was actually Max you talked about. Um, then excuse me, sorry. So, um. So when I actually, basically I'm leaving my job. So it's actually, the contract is that, I submitted the resignation. And so I did everything. So it's going to be taken care of. And so after all that, I got a download. So basically, if I didn't do this way, that I voluntarily, did what I did, and there will be a lot of stuff might have happened to me, so that I can actually, let into this path anyway. So I'm like, you're telling me now, and so things like, like maybe my kids, something might happen to my children, so that it will really wake me up to do what I need to do. And so because I did it just by realizing, I'm actually helping the system of a pedal system, children eating system. So it's like, no, what the hell I'm doing? So it's like, so money is good, but then again, I'm actually giving my energy and giving also giving my time. So I realize time and my energy is a lot more valuable the how much money I actually get. So that was kind of big realization for me. And then the next question was, what do I do after? I don't actually know yet. What do I do after? My biggest download is just be, right? So I don't know what it means. But it kind of means something. Like I've never been, just be, right? So be who I am. So it's like I just always had to do something, accomplish, make money, raise children. So all of that is like I thought it was meaningful, but I'm actually part of the whole system. I was kind of being a slave to this system. So I was never like be this person, whoever that person may be. I need to figure that out from now. So that was the download I got. So sorry, I don't really have a question. I'm just enjoying listening to you guys. Thank you so much for this kind of chance. So especially for today, Max is here too. So it's actually wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Sun Yin. I love you so much. You left your job as a teacher where you were being told to indoctrinate children in bullshit. So you're now not causing harm. Secondly, whenever you get, I think it's great that you're just told to be for a while, but eventually we need people like you who are teachers to leave the beast system teaching and create something new. Okay. So it's, that's, I wish the teachers that are teaching kindergartners in the US how to masturbate and that, showing them photos of butt sex would do what you did and would leave and say, no, I'm not going to what I would consider sexually abuse children by this material. So that's the next step. People who leave one thing, let's say nurses leave nursing because it's part of the Rockefeller medical system. You've got great skills. Start something new. Start something new where people can go and get help. That's how we change everything. We don't reform the system that is there because it's doing exactly what it's created to do. We start something new alongside it, and then eventually people will come to the new because the old is there to cause illness and death and abuse. So, we just create the new.
Exactly. Yes.
So thank you, Sonia.
Thank you,
Yeah, well done, Sonia.
Deborah.
Hello. So this was so good. Thank you. Great to be here and loving the predictions. And Katie, if I can just say, I was a nurse and I chose to step out in 2020 and realized that it was my identity. It was like, well, I'm Deb the nurse, or Deb the massage therapist. And it was only then sitting with it and listening and having that time to just be, that then doors opened that I had no idea were even there. So it's the biggest thing I would say is just trust that it will just unfold. And it does. And I don't know how anybody else is feeling right now, but since I know we're in the Gregorian New Year, but it's like since the beginning of the new year, it's just like I'm getting all these offers and ideas are coming through, and it's like, whoa, what's going on? A little bit of anxiety here. So things are speeding up, for sure. But my question was, Rachel, you mentioned about if you, we've been, the last 5 years, the Great Awakening, we did take our super out, and he has just actually taken his super out.
Well done.
Investing in silver. We're going to invest in silver. Do you feel like the whole silver train at the minute? We're a bit nervous because we've been buying silver for a few years, and it's like we know that the system's going to collapse. And I've been thinking it's going to be February. Something's going to happen in February. So I probably you two said it last year, but. Yeah, where the precious metals are the way, because otherwise, what are we going to do with this money? Because if the banks collapse, then we're going to lose the cash in the bank anyway. It's a tricky one.
I do think precious metals are a very smart thing to get into. To be honest, I don't have much myself. I have a very small amount. But if I'd had spare money, I would have done it. Absolutely.
And my other thing, thank you, Rachel. My other thing with that is I'm also very conscious of that, not to be thinking about Mooney, and to be controlled by it. And because that it takes away, doesn't it? It takes away part of me that I don't want to be greedy.
But the thing is, if it grows exponentially, you can help other people. That's the difference.
Exactly.
And I think in this new frequency, it's those who have the capacity to help other people will be the ones who have the downloads to do what you've done.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You're all amazing.
So are you.
I've always seen, like I've told you guys in other lives that I've seen with the fake dollar, the feet dollar collapsing, there's that trapeze net and it goes back up, but it's what I realized the trapeze net was the old, right? It was the gold, silver. That's what's going to save. So when I received the thing about a controlled collapse with the financial system, it's because there's old things in place so that, and everything's digital anyway. So I don't feel like what's in the bank, I don't know that it's gonna be lost, so to speak. I feel like there's something, and again, I'm not giving financial advice, but I just feel like there's something that there's gonna be some kind of transition with it all.
I keep getting we get our straw man back, and that's been
Yeah.
coming up in readings. It's not something I've asked for. It just keeps coming through in readings. And when it first did, it was like, what on earth is that about?
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, when you are born and you have the heel prick, the soul blood put onto the piece of parchment, you get sold to the Vatican. Now, roughly, it used to be about $250,000. I'm not sure what it is now. I've been told millions. I don't know. But I believe we get that back because we are sovereign and free. And that's what the fire horse year is about, freedom. Your amazing metaphor, to me, what you're describing is how are people going to cope with their freedom?
Yeah.
Sometimes the freedom's going to buck you off. It's going to freak you out because you've got nobody telling you what to do anymore, and you have to do it by yourself, like done, doing it on your own, making your own decisions when you've been told what to do your entire life. That can be really, really scary. I thought that was a fantastic metaphor. What a great way for your spirit guides to communicate that to your higher self.
They like
Just
to talk
amazing.
in metaphors, but I love metaphors and analogies. So I'm always like, that's cool. But I often think that people even understand what I'm saying, but it's cool. You got it. So
Hey, Rachel, I did this years ago in America. Anyway, if you go on this website called Dun and Bradstreet and you put in your social security number, you can see how many times they've traded you as a commodity and how much money has like of an asset you are in the system. It's really
So for you and
astonishing.
I, Max, you can imagine that would probably be a lot more because we've been experimented on.
yeah.
We've
Yeah.
been utilized. We've been weaponized.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would be amazing. I don't know what that would be for Australia.
Yeah, I mean, think of the Stranger Things show and someone like 11. Why do you think they wanted to get her back? I mean, she's a weapon. They invested in
Exactly.
creating her, just
Yeah.
like they did in all of us. But the thing is, what they feared and what has come true with many survivors is we've left and we refuse to be their weapon, and now we're a weapon against them, So, yeah, but that whole straw man thing, people should look into it. It's very interesting and it's based on maritime law. And there's just so much of that. So even when there didn't used to be birth certificates. So when you get one for your child, you're basically signing them over to the state, which is why CPS can come and take them if they want. When you register your car, you're giving your car to the state and then you're paying them for the privilege of driving your own car. It's so disgustingly scammy, the whole thing. The only caution I would say, I mean, there's lots of things that people put out there to leave that system, but you just have to be careful because you have to know it perfectly in order not to get screwed if you try. Like, even when you go to court, if you think of the word court, it's for a game, like a basketball court. And the judges in their black robes, that those are priests in their robes. And you sit on they sit on the bench and so when it's the whole thing about the living man or woman are not beholden to the cult's judiciary system, people. We're not, but they've convinced us that we are. And so it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing it's interesting to look up. And I think that whole thing's going to collapse because that's part of that machine harvesting and controlling us. But I wouldn't recommend trying to do something like there's a lot of people that say, oh, go do this and file this. I wouldn't do that because right now, I mean, it's going to go down anyway. And if you don't know what you're doing 100%, it could be dangerous.
Yeah.
You look at these powerful cases like the Beaumont case and the Mulligan inquiry, which is what my father was involved in. The suppression orders on that are around, people would lose faith in the judiciary if this truth was put out there. And that truth is going to be out there, and people will lose faith in the judiciary. And again, that's why I think, by the end of this year, we're going to have judges leaving their positions in droves and having to probably run off to other countries and pretend they're somebody else, and maybe have some special surgery done to hide their identities, because they're all going to be under major scrutiny.
Yeah. Like Epstein, he's not dead. He did facial reconstruction. I hear he's in Iceland, but wherever he is, I mean, those people don't die, and their system isn't it's the law is to control us. They're never, as you can see, none of them ever get there's no justice, sir. I've had people on Instagram based on my Stranger Things post say, oh, well, first of all, prove it. And it's like, yeah, back in the 70s, well, cell phones didn't exist, but somehow I had a phone as a child when I was captive and being tortured, and I recorded my torture. So years later, I could prove it to you.
And that's what they want me to do, to waste all this time trying to prove it to them.
It's so, and then they're like, well, why? And one person was like, well, aren't you doing anything about it? Like going to the police. And it's like, oh, sweetheart, you have no idea how the system works, do you? So yeah. Anyway.
Well, and I
swear they have a list of things. Sorry, Angie, they have like 1 to 10 things that they can throw at you. And they just do it over and over and over again. And you're supposed to get tipped up and stressed out, and your suicide programming is supposed to come on, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, it is the same few people posting and posting and posting, and being basically an armchair critic while they sit there. But yeah, so I asked them, is it ignorance because I can teach you, or is it that you're a paid troll? Because then just go away.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're very brave behind a keyboard.
Right.
So I remember last year saying something that I kept getting. It was the beginning, like the end of 2025 going into 2026, about the judges, like the judges getting exposed. I remember that, as you've been saying it. I keep forgetting.
And it is happening.
Yeah.
It's happening with this Minnesota stuff.
Yeah. And
but it's been happening all over the world.
Yeah. But it's going to get bigger and bigger, because it's going to go up like the Supreme Court and all of that as well. Yeah. So does anyone else have questions? Yeah.
I just want to say, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi. Thank you very much. This is awesome. This resonates. Everything that you guys say resonates with what I believe, what I see, what I feel. And when I watch Stranger Things, I watch it with my 2 sisters, and Max, I sent my one sister your video, and she's kind of now learning things slowly. The other one is still, she's, but it's okay. She does not believe in any of that. She's like, that there's no way that's real. I'm like, it's real. So it's little by little, but my one sister now is very much into all this stuff. She believes, which she's coming kind of out of it. Sometimes she'll email me and say, is this real, or is this? And I'm like, nope. I go, that you got to feel it. What do you feel? She's like, I think this is bad. I'm like, okay, good. You're feeling, that's exactly right. So I do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Angie. I'm working with Angie on my health, and Max, I know you had said something with Kimberly. I saw you there, and you were talking about your health and your thyroid and all that. So Angie, I'm working with her right now, so I really appreciate it. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for what you guys are doing, and power to the women, because I do believe that it's the women that keep this planet going, Mother Gaia, all that stuff. So I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I second that. I'm also working with Angie. Angie's the best. If you have any health issues, please go to her. She's a not doctor, so that's how you can trust her. Okay.
Best kind of not doctor. She is brilliant. Yeah.
She is. She is.
My
She's
face red. Well,
You've earned it.
Thank you. Thank you, Adrienne.
The best kind of healer has healed themselves. Angie.
Yes. And that's I'd help, but I recovered from SRA and MK and all of that. And so I help people with that. And a few years back, I refuse to be licensed. I will not be part of the beast system. I will not be part of psychiatry and psychology as it's structured, which is just serves the cult. So I would say if you have any need of any kind of getting help, go to a not doctor, not somebody who's not part of the system and does it in their own sort of, non-beast way.
Well, and that's healed themselves. She's very good at what she does, and
Yes.
she's very patient. She
Very.
has the patience of a million people, because there's times where I'm like, I'm patient, but I mean, she has patience of steel, man. And she's very dedicated. Max is very dedicated to helping people that want to help themselves. So
Yeah.
it's very good.
Yeah. Well, it's that thing. I think one of you two said it earlier. Humanity needs to grow up. Uh, we're kind of in a childlike state where we want mommy and daddy government, mommy and daddy global agency, somebody to tell us what to do. And so part of changing, and maybe this year, as you mentioned, Angie, is just to take responsibility for for ourselves and our lives. And I think that's the scary part for people. But I think everything going down and these structures collapsing is going to force people to take control of themselves and grow up, So I'm an advocate of that because if being in victim identity is so destructive, and the people who think that somebody's going to come save them, Jesus or Trump or the Pleiadians, that's a program, that's a cult program, because if there's a savior, that means that the person that they're saving are victims, and we don't want to be victims anymore. Okay, it's time to grow up, and human beings are such beautiful beings. They're very childlike and open and loving, like you see it in little children, how they are. That's how we are until life screws us up. What if this dance with the dark that we've done for I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of years, now that we're not going to be reset again, what if we take that and convert that into wisdom while retaining our childlike beauty, who we really are as a human species, so that we can't be fooled anymore? So if we were saved, that wouldn't happen, and we'd be vulnerable to the same kind of thing again. So I keep saying this to people, that it's not good to be saved. I mean, yes, it sounds nice. I would kind of, part of me would like it too, but if you don't go through that process, you're not going to get to the next level of who we all are. So yeah, no savior program. So anyway, when I work with people, I don't allow them to remain in victim very long. It's not good. It's not healthy.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm the same, Max. When I work with people as a psychic, there are people who will want to speak to a psychic daily, which I never do, because they want to abdicate all of those choices
Right.
that they have to make, because they want to know what's
Yep.
coming up for them. And that's absolutely unethical, because you're not helping them. They're not ascending. They're just finding out what's going to happen. It's absolutely pointless. So yeah, we can't save anybody. People have to do this process themselves. And if they get to a point of being healed, then they might want to speak up or find some way where they can spread the love, share it around. We're all trying to do that. I
Yeah.
think I would say everybody in this Zoom today is doing that.
And I will say this, Rachel, she's a brilliant psychic. She was telling me back in April of 2024, she saw me moving to a house that was a 2-story that had a river behind it, and she saw snow. And I'm like, I won't move anywhere that snows, So this past fall, I went to visit my kids, and my son had just bought a house, little cute 2-story, had a river behind it. And I ended up staying longer than I had planned. And guess what? It snowed there. I was there for I don't know, 3.5 months, because my plane kept getting canceled because of the government being shut down. So I told Rachel recently, I'm like, when you told me this house that you saw with the snow and the river, I'm like, that was my son's house. and I said, I didn't move there, but you probably thought I was, because I ended up staying there for so long. It was much longer than I had planned. So brilliant. Brilliant.
And that was obviously you needed to be there that long.
Yes.
Because there were all sorts of wonderful things that came out of that.
Yes. It was definitely like in a 9 year, it had been 9 years since I'd been there. It was a lot of healing, you know, full circle things happened. So it was very good. Very good. Yeah. He didn't want me
And
to
that's a
leave when I left.
that's just a good thing to keep in mind, that when one door closes, when things seem rough in your life, you know, like you lose a marriage, or you move, or you, like, your business crumbles, or whatever it may be, that's your soul telling you there's a different direction you need to go in, and it's always better. You know, it's always a better direction. And I wanted to say something about the patriarchy. Somebody mentioned that, you know, these creatures who have run this planet are patriarchal. So they've made all of society in their image, and they really don't like the feminine. And so in religion, they've made God a man. I don't think that God or source has a gender, but if it did, I mean, let's be reasonable, folks, it would be a woman. Okay, we take a soul in our bodies, we make a body for it, we bring it out into the world, we nourish it and nurture it. And I mean, everything that creates life is female. And I'm not, you know, I still think that transcends duality and gender, but even there, they've inserted their patriarchy. And then I saw this interesting video that somebody sent of all the presidents of the United States wives. Like, it went back. And as you look at them, you realize, oh shit, they're all men.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't even want women anywhere near anything. And so it's pretty interesting. So I do think that's going to be a major thing going forward, that feminine component, that feminine energy. And everything female is devalued. So, you know, I was a stay-at-home mother for 16, 17 years of my child's life. And you know, I'm a psychologist, I'm a person, I have a lot of identities, but when I would tell someone that I was, you know, raising my child, their eyes would glaze over and they'd look at me like I was just, you know, nothing. And yet, you know, I saw this video on Instagram where this guy is a job recruiter, and he's talking to these interested parties on Zoom, and he's saying, like, well, the job requires a lot of standing and bending, and oh yeah, well, the job is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And holidays, no, you work more on holidays. And he's like adding all these, you have to have culinary skills, chauffeur skills, medical skills, you know, psychology skills. And people are getting really confused. And then he's like, oh yeah, and the job pays nothing. But billions of people do it. And everyone was so confused. And he's like, it's called being a mother, right? But that drives the point home. That's the most incredible job on earth.
Yeah.
What if it were paid? I mean, we'd all be billionaires.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to shift too.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, Freemasons don't value women, do they? They don't even let them in. They've got the women's, you know, Eastern Star sect version, but you know, the men, it's to the exclusion of women. Apart from, they can make them lunch.
Well, yeah. Do you ever see a female pope?
No.
I mean, no, they don't let them in anything. In Islam, you know, they're compared to animals. So, you know, no, it's across the board.
Yeah.
It's all gonna flip. The divine feminine is returning, but there's a balance, because you know they've tried to get rid of the masculine too. You know, like they always want to. There's no balance. When they try to destroy one, they try to destroy the other, but the balance is coming back. You've got to have a balance, and the balance is within. So as we balance within, then it's going to be balanced out.
Yeah.
In numerology, we've been in a patriarchy for roughly 1,000 years. So 1900s, you know, that whatever, 1800s, 1700s. We're in the 20s now, the 2000s. 2 is the feminine. That is why the feminine is coming back. So we've gone back away from the patriarchy into coming into a number 2 year in the 2020s. I mean, this is really, really powerful. So yeah, you're 100% right. The matriarchy is coming back. And that doesn't mean it's
Yeah.
perfect. There's some really evil women in the world, but there's
Oh,
just
yeah.
less.
Yeah, embracing, saying patriarchy has been harmful. It's been harmful to men as much as to women.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that doesn't mean we live in such a culture like, if I say something, people are like, oh, you're a left wing. It's like, no, I'm neither wing. Okay. They're both wings off the same bird. So saying that doesn't mean men somehow are wrong. It's quite the contrary. I mean, men are beautiful, they're necessary. I mean, a father is so necessary to children. Men protect, men have their sacred role too. And this system has been trying to render them, strip them of their masculinity, physically, mentally, spiritually. So the patriarchy is bad for everyone. It's not about men versus women. So humans default to that versus thing because that's how we've been trained. It's a form of mind control. It's either or, but maybe it should be both and instead.
So better to look at it, the number one being selfish, Satanism, the one, whereas the two is the love. It's the mother and child. And that's
And
the
makes
much bigger
three.
symbolism. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, men suffered terribly in patriarchies because they end up being the war fodder.
Yes.
Because those men in top power do not want young, healthy men challenging them in any way. Yeah.
Well, ladies, I've had an awesome time with you today. I've enjoyed everyone that's been in our audience being here too. Why don't you both tell us what you guys have going on, what you have upcoming, and just reiterate where we can find you.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Okay. So, well, I have my advanced psychic development course. So I'm starting that on the 24th of January, and you're both joining, which is very exciting. And some other people that are here are joining, which is very exciting. Actually, quite a few. So that goes it's once a week. It's for the US time frame, so it works for you guys as well. For us in Australia, it's Saturday mornings. In the US, it's Friday nights. I'm also going to Hidden Valley Cabins in Queensland in April. So there's still some spots left there. If people want to come up and have a retreat, I'll be there for nearly 7 days. It'll be amazing. Absolutely beautiful.
All right. Where can we find you, Rachel?
Oh, so you can find me under my name, Rachel Vaughan, on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Insta. On Insta, I'm SRA, whistleblower Rachel Vaughan, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. I think that's Telegram.
And they can register for your course at sixscience.com.
Yep, with the number 6.
Yes.
Thank you, Dylan.
And Max?
Well, I have a website, unbroken.global, and if you go there on the home page and you enter your name and email, you'll be subscribed to my newsletter. So I write something every month, and I write on Substack also. We have a group member. So if you become a member, Angie and Rachel are in that group. And we get together once a month on a Zoom, and it's all people like us. We're awake. It's a place to be and have community and talk. So if you're interested in that, there's that. I have a lot of interviews on my website that you can watch too. Some are with survivors, some are with other people. So if you want to kind of learn more about different things, you can go check those out. I do seminars. I'm going to do one coming up. You can buy the seminars I've done. They're recorded and they're there for purchase. And I'm going to do another one about kind of the history of humanity, like the bloodlines and like what, the hierarchy of the cult, and just to give people an understanding of that, because I think that's super important. I'm also on Rumble, BitChute, Instagram, Telegram, Facebook. Well, Alicia has me on there, so I know I'm on there. And then I also am a healer. So if people, I work with trauma specifically. So if anyone needs any kind of support or help, you can contact me about that either through the website, or my email is max@unbroken.global. So pretty easy to remember.
And I went to a lot of your seminars that you've had, your workshops that you have up on your website, and they're all very good. So if you're just getting into waking up to all of this, or maybe if you're a little bit more along the way, she puts out really great workshops because you learn a lot. And even if you think you know everything, I always come away with learning more. So they're very, very good. All right, ladies. Well, thank you for being here today. Everyone, I will have this up on my YouTube, and Max will have it up on hers, and Rachel will have it up on hers, and they'll have it up on their other platforms as well. So thank you so much for being here today.